And you sort of have this compelling fascination with flawed blokes. It's
Is there any other kind?
No, I don't think there is, but we see a lot of unflawed blokes in cinema. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
We can't all be Tom Cruise. Yeah, I mean, writing about psychopaths, it's kind of interesting. You wouldn't want to meet one, but it gives you a lot of scope as a writer to go to very strange, interesting places. But this was always going to be, or the attempt was to be a film that sets up some kind of a genre of guys with guns and tries to turn it on its head a little bit, to question it and to see if we can go to almost use that to go to a different place. Hence all the Gandhi shit, you know.
Can I ask you both about the casting, because it's a truly brilliant cast, and was that an easy, assembling process?
Well, they're all like my favorite actors. Half of them since I was about 10. But strangely, I'd worked with most of them before. Colin, obviously from In Bruges, but Christopher Walken and Sam Rockwell I did a play with in New York about 3 years ago. And Woody Harrelson, we almost worked together a few years back too. And I knew Tom Waits too, so it's like calling up mates who happen to be psychopaths to do your film. So it was strangely more easy on the first day of shooting of this one than it was in Bruges.
Just one thing to add on that, it's as a producer, when you're trying to put a movie together like that with this sort of cast, it's fantastic if you've got a great filmmaker and a great script. And yes, many of these people are in Martin's address book, but the process of going out there and casting movies to get them put together in the right way is great if you've got good material. So in terms of this film, you were putting together a company and a great cast, and no one came to it for a ton of money. They came to it because it was good work, and that's a nice way to make films.
And from a financing perspective, it's also notoriously un-PC kind of content, and Hollywood doesn't always respond to that. So how did you go about that?
It's good content. It's great content.
It is.
So that's the starting point, I think. And Martin's a great filmmaker. It was a great cast, a great script. We did put it together independently, and that was a conscious decision to make a film outside a studio, and then you can kind of do more your thing. I think for some filmmakers, the process of working independently works very well. Some work very well within studios, but independently works, I think, best in this arrangement.
The script of this was written just after I wrote the script of In Bruges, but before I made it. The scope of this just felt too big. In Bruges was similar to, I guess, the plays I'd written before. It was like 3 characters and one set, and it was just blokes chatting. This had, we went from urban to a desert landscape and had shootouts and stories within stories. And I just didn't feel like I had the cinematic capabilities to do that as a first-time filmmaker. So making Bruges kind of put me at ease a little bit. It was still kind of terrifying to jump into it, but I felt like I had a grounding, at least with actors, to then concentrate on the bigger vista of this one.
Cheers, thank you.
Cheers. I'm really glad that since the writing of this one, I wrote one with a really strong female lead of about 55 years old. So whenever that question comes up about how weakly written the characters in this are, I can say the next one is going to be so strong and so female-based that I might just about get out of jail. Like Abby Cornish's part in this was actually on the page, and we actually filmed a lot more, but it was more about her and Colin's the breakdown of their relationship. So that kind of didn't quite make it onto the screen, which isn't much of an excuse really, but it's the only one I've got. But Graham. The next one's going to be very strong. You'll see, I promise. Yeah, I mean, I guess as a story's coming to you, if it feels like it's all set in one room with, you know, 2 or 3 blokes talking about politics, then it's going to be a play. If there's lots of shootouts, and actually no, I've had lots of shootouts in my plays too. It's more about size and scope. You know, if something is like this and has stories within stories and goes from, has flashbacks and goes back and forth in time and location, then it's going to, even in your head, you kind of know it's going to be something more cinematic than a play could be. And as much as I tried to put something cinematic into my plays, it is that if it's set in 1 or 2 rooms, then it's going to be a play.